Shalom. I'm Eddie Chumney of Hebraic Heritage Ministries, and we welcome you to this week's Focus Israel Report. In this week's report, we're going to be sharing with you regarding the current status of the Israeli-Palestinian peace process, and it is as follows. U.S. President Barack Obama has decided to take a more active role in the negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians. When Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visits the United States on March the 3rd, Obama will make an urgent appeal to Netanyahu to accept U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry's framework peace plan. Obama is expected to apply the same pressure to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas when Abbas comes to the United States on March the 17th. Palestinian Chief Negotiator Saeb Erekat and Palestinian Intelligence Chief Majed Faraj will travel to the United States in the next week to meet American officials in preparation for Abbas's visit to the United States on March the 17th. Erekat and Faraj are expected to meet Secretary of State Kerry and the U.S. Middle East envoy Martin Indyk. According to Palestinian sources, Obama will intervene forcefully and directly and will apply pressure to Netanyahu and Abbas so that they agree to a framework agreement. According to these sources, the framework agreement will determine that the capital of the Palestinian state will be Eastern Jerusalem, and in exchange there will be Palestinian concessions and other matters, including borders and refugees. Senior Palestinian sources said that the way to resolve the crisis of the peace negotiations would be to announce that Jerusalem was the capital of both a Palestinian and Israeli state, with an indication to Israel's right to acquire international recognition as a Jewish state, which would implicitly also mean the recognition of the state of Palestine. The issues of borders, refugees, settlements, and water resources are expected to be included in appendices to the agreement, which will be discussed by joint committees. The issue of the Jewish identity of Israel, which Netanyahu's government insists must be recognized, is categorically rejected by the Palestinians, according to the sources. If Obama succeeds in convincing Netanyahu and Abbas to agree to concessions on the framework agreement, he will announce a day for signing the agreement in the United States, with Obama himself taking part in the signing ceremony. Israeli sources reveal that Obama will ask Netanyahu and Abbas about their future plans in case of the failure of the negotiations, and will give them the option to cooperate with the U.S. plan or face isolation and live with the difficult reality which awaits them if the United States abandons the peace process. If the United States is unable to persuade Israel and the Palestinians to agree to a framework deal, the Obama administration is debating whether they should go forward and publicly present the framework plan. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is determined to present a proposal no later than March the 28th. That is the day when the fourth phase of the release of Palestinian terrorists from Israeli jails is scheduled to take place. According to Israeli sources, there is a serious debate taking place within the White House over whether a framework agreement should be presented now at any price or whether to wait. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry admitted that there would not be a final status agreement between Israel and the Palestinians by April the 29th. He said, "We're using the current deadline to help shape this." He added, noting that he was prepared to continue the talks for whatever period of time might be appropriate. Right now, he said, for months, we've been saying that we're trying to get a framework by April 29th. We're trying to get the framework, which is a huge deal if we've used these 7 months thus far to get an understanding of where the parties are and be able to shape the final negotiations, said Kerry. However, a senior Palestinian official said that the Palestinians reject U.S. moves to extend an April deadline for 9 months of hard-won talks with Israel to culminate in a framework peace deal. There is no meaning to prolonging the negotiations, even for one more additional hour, if Israel, represented by its current government, continues to disregard international law, Palestinian Chief Negotiator Saeb Erekat said. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas said that he will not extend negotiations with Israel past April the 29th if the framework agreement doesn't deal with the core issues. The Palestinian leader stressed that the Palestinians will only agree to an extension of the peace talks if Netanyahu declares a construction freeze in the settlements and further agrees to release Palestinian terrorists, after the next round of prisoners are set to be released by Israel in the end of March. A total of 104 Palestinian prisoners was agreed upon by Israel to be released by the end of the 9 months of negotiations as a goodwill gesture to the Palestinians, which caused the Palestinians to agree to the current 9 months of talks. Otherwise, Abbas said, he will terminate the peace process and look to join various UN international organizations. Meanwhile, it is being reported that the Israeli government has unofficially and quietly frozen settlement construction outside the major blocks for the past few months in an apparent acquiescence to U.S. pressure. Jordan Valley Regional Council members were asked why construction was being held up in the settlements that they administer, even of projects that they had received approval from the Israeli defense minister. They said that the order had come down from on high not to advance construction plans in settlements outside the major settlement blocks. We received instruction from policymakers not to advance plans outside what's found in the settlement blocks, they said. Let's wait patiently until Netanyahu returns from the United States, and then we'll talk more about the issue, they said. Debka, an Israeli intelligence and news gathering website, reports that Netanyahu has accepted the U.S. framework proposal for continued talks with reservations. However, after an 8-hour meeting with Abbas in Paris, France, the Palestinians have rejected the U.S. framework plan. Abbas accused Kerry of being biased toward Israel and reiterated his refusal to recognize Israel as a Jewish state. The head of the Palestinian Authority also raised objections to proposed security arrangements and a recommendation for final borders between Israel and a future Palestinian state. Abbas also called Kerry to task on the proposed agreement's vaguely worded fate of Jerusalem. Abbas called ideas that Kerry presented to him as madness. According to reports in Palestinian newspapers, Kerry proposed lopping off Arab neighborhoods of Jerusalem and placing them under Palestinian sovereignty, enabling the Palestinians to declare Jerusalem its capital. In their meeting, Kerry offered that the Beit Hanina neighborhood be declared as the Palestinian capital instead of the entire East Jerusalem area. He also raised the possibility that the Jordan Valley would remain under Israeli sovereignty. In addition, the Palestinians would annex 10 Jewish communities in the West Bank and be responsible for their security. Most other communities would remain under Israeli sovereignty, based upon land swaps. In response, the report said, a furious Abbas practically threw Kerry out of his office, telling the U.S. Secretary of State that if he did not back down on his ideas, Abbas would return to demanding that all descendants of Arabs who fled Israel in 1948 be repatriated in Israel, rolling back the flexibility he had promised to show on that demand. Abbas also reiterated that he would not recognize Israel as a Jewish state. Israel Knesset members from the Sephardic ultra-Orthodox political party Shas, as well as the Ashkenazi ultra-Orthodox political party United Torah Judaism, along with the left-wing political parties of Meretz and Labor, all signed on to a letter of support sent by Labor Party Knesset member Eaton Cabell to U.S. Ambassador to Israel Dan Shapiro. The letter expresses support for the efforts of the United States to negotiate a peace deal between Israel and the Palestinian Authority. However, Israel Knesset members from the Land of Israel caucus accused the United States of being biased toward the Palestinians in negotiations in a meeting with U.S. Ambassador to Israel Dan Shapiro. Deputy Transportation Minister Zippy Hatovli of Netanyahu's own Likud political party stressed that Netanyahu was acting in a political arena. Any framework agreement that talks about 1967 borders or that includes evacuating towns or giving up sovereignty in the West Bank and Jerusalem would bring down the current Netanyahu government. According to a source in the meeting, which was closed to the press, Shapiro rejected claims the United States was taking the Palestinian side and was hurting Israel. The United States is taking part in the negotiations negotiations because Israel is our ally. He stated, a good peace treaty will protect Israel's security and won't hurt Israel. Meanwhile, Hatnua Knesset political party member Meir Shetrick said that he hoped that the United States would force Israel to accept the peace deal that Secretary of State John Kerry was putting together. Being backed into a corner and heavily pressured by the United States, Shetrick said was the only way Israel and the Palestinian Authority would swallow their medicine and enter into a deal that would benefit both sides. Meanwhile, as Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was getting ready to leave for the United States on March the 3rd, the organization Women in Green and the Sovereignty Forum sent a letter to Netanyahu telling him that precisely now was the time to declare Israeli sovereignty over the West Bank. Their letter said, "Honored Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, today you are starting out on your complex mission to the United States, and may you have heaven's support and the support of the land of Israel. We are at a decisive time in which it is possible to strengthen our position. As you leave Jerusalem, the Women in Green movement and the Forum for Sovereignty are with you and will accompany you with a very large poster that will be placed at the exit from Jerusalem for the coming weeks. It reads, 'Yes to sovereignty over the West Bank and the Jordan Valley.'" In a discussion on the expulsion from Gush Katif in northern Samaria that was held in Ariel a few days ago, public relations expert Eyal Arid claimed that the right failed because it did not present an alternative. This is not true. There is an alternative. A realistic Zionist plan does exist, and that is application of Israeli sovereignty. This plan is indeed accompanied by difficulties, but the difficulties associated with sovereignty is preferable to the physical and spiritual destruction entailed in the establishment of a terrorist Palestinian state in the heart of our land, a stone throw away from Ben Gurion Airport. And we must think not only in terms of survival, we must aspire to realize our hold on the land and our sovereignty in the land of Israel. In a recent poll, 3/4 of Hebrew-speaking Israelis would support a peace agreement with the Palestinians based on the 2002 Arab Peace Initiative, and more than half would vote for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu if he were to leave his Likud political party and create a new party. According to the survey, 76% of respondents said that they are sure or think that they would be willing to support an agreement after they were told about 9 different elements of the deal, all based on the 2002 Arab Peace Initiative presented to them in a way that would seem beneficial to Israel. More than 60% of respondents said that they would likely support a regional peace treaty even before any components of it were discussed. According to the authors of the poll, the significance of this poll shows that, number one, Israelis indeed do hold right-wing views. Number two, they don't believe the Palestinians. Number three, they will accept a far-reaching deal based on the Arab Peace Initiative if it was presented to them in a proper way. And number four, they will support Benjamin Netanyahu if he does make a decision to make peace with the Palestinians. In a visit to Israel, German Chancellor Angela Merkel expressed support for Israel's security requirements and its demand to be recognized by the Palestinians as a Jewish state. Merkel also stated her opposition to Israeli expansion of West Bank settlements, saying that they make a positive outcome of the peace talks less likely. She said that her German government supports a two-state solution, that is, a Palestinian state and a Jewish state of Israel. We also support Israel's security requirements to be able to finally live in secure borders. But for a two-state solution, we need territorial integrity, she said. Thus, we treat the settlement question with concern, in which we are not always of one opinion, she said. We hope that we can overcome the problems and that the two-state solution can be implemented with an agreement. Merkel also said that she did not support a boycott or labeling of Israel settlement goods. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanked her, saying, "Such sanctions against the Middle East's only true democracy are neither moral nor productive, but only serve to strengthen Palestinian intransigence," he said. Well, that's going to conclude this week's update, where we shared with you regarding the current status of the Israeli-Palestinian peace talks. Until we do it again, Shalom in Yeshua the Messiah. Amen.